Om Namah Shivaya. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinapadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So you will notice that all Vedantic texts either begin with or emphasize the importance of the eligibility of the students. And the question is why? Why is that important? And so let's spend a few minutes just discussing that part of it. The importance of preparation, eligibility. And it's not really that hard to grasp if we understand what we are trying to do. And yet, I think we have an unreasonable expectation that I should be able to figure this out. And I think even people thinking, is there God or not? What is the truth about it and so on? Either you deny it completely or you don't look into it enough and you give up too quickly. And it all points out to the fact that you are not prepared to understand. The classical example we give is that the Einsteinian equation E is equal to mc squared, that the matter and energies are one and the same, they are different states of it, is not something that a high schooler can understand. Although I must say the high schoolers are getting smarter by the day. They're getting a lot of good information. Everything is even, we have a 2-year-old that can figure out how to do all the controls for the TV. It's a dangerous thing because I was watching the Warriors game the other day and all of a sudden the channel changed. And I said, what happened? Well, she was the one who was playing with it. So they're all getting smarter. But the fact remains that this is a very important thing that we must understand. So here, let's look at it this way. Anything that you accomplish in life is based on whether you are prepared to be successful. Now, there is a basic distinction between things that you can accomplish by doing and things that you can accomplish by knowing. So this is a very important distinction in Vedanta. So, kartritvam, the doership, the sense that I am the karta, I am doing something, leads to some results based on your capability of doing it. If you have the strength, if supposing you want to climb the Everest, then it requires some specialized preparation. You have the strength, you have the volume of air that you can breathe in, all kinds of things. It's just so amazing. An ordinary person cannot do it. You will slip in the snow. So it all depends on how capable you are in accomplishing what you want to do. So here is the basic distinction between karma and jnanam. In karma, the results are based on what your capabilities of doing it, as we were just saying it. Okay? And what the results are based on what the capabilities are. If you're not capable, you're not going to get the results. Again, the same thing, I'm just repeating. In jnanam, it is different. So this is what the Vedanta says, that there is a saying called Karta Tantram and Vastu Tantram. Karta Tantram means that your results are based on what you see something is based on your capability. In Vastu Tantram, that is not your capability. That is based on exactly what the Vastu is, and you cannot take it in any other way. So, for example, the very classical Vedantic example that we are going to be using as one of our basis points of discussion is that of, you already have heard of this, that if you see a rope in insufficient light, then you can make a mistake, not knowing that this is just a rope. So in this example, what you take the rope to be depends upon your background. Suppose you are very fearful of snakes, and most of us, like in India, we're very fond. We're not very familiar with snakes going around. Here, you don't see them, and there was a lot of fear about it. We used to hear that people would get bitten and die. I remember in Bihar, my father was a mining engineer, and there was a young couple who just got married, and they were lying on the ground. And there was a cobra that bit both of them. I remember this so well. There was so much suffering and so on and so forth. And we would even find them inside the house. So there's a fear of snakes. So if someone can take a rope to be a snake, it is based on their fear. Another person that does not have a fear of the snakes can take it differently. You might say this is a hose or a watermark. They're all different ways of interpreting the rope if you don't know it. So the final result of what you think about it is based on your own background. This is what is called Karta Tantram. It's all based on the karta, for the doer. But to know that it is a rope, not a snake, is not Karta Tantram. It is Vastu Tantram. Vastu Tantra means you have to take it exactly as it is. You cannot imagine that this is this, it is that, it is some kind of a garland that fell down, or a hose, or a crack in the wall, crack in the floor, or a snake. Nothing like that. You just take it exactly what it is. So now when it comes to understanding the self, it has to be seen exactly as it is. You cannot imagine, as we all do, we all say the human beings are this way, they are going to have an afterlife, you might go to Swargaloka, you might have punya, you might have papa. This is that you imagine the human being to be traveling. We think we have a life. We think we have a background. All of this is going to be examined to be false. To be false. So, imagining ourselves as a jiva, that has different kind of parameters, history, future, even the present life, what we are going to be and so on, all of those conclusions are kartatantram, or kartatantram. That means what you take yourself to be depends on your background, your education, your company, who you meet, what spiritual discipline you happen to be excited about, Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism. You have so many choices and so much variability in where you are. You can take it all to be like that. And all the time you're really searching for yourself. So it is very much like the imaginations of people based on who they are, kartatantram. But the Atma is like a rope. You have to take it exactly as it is. You are free if you want. We're not criticizing you. But see the mistakes that one makes, that you are imagining things about it and not knowing exactly what it is. To know exactly what it is also requires eligibility. Just like doing something requires eligibility, knowing something also requires eligibility. What is the eligibility for knowing the Atma as it is? This is what is presented here in the basic suggestions for the qualifications. So it's very obvious that you cannot leave aside a high schooler. Somebody who's like not even in high school cannot say, all this Einsteinian things, there's no truth in it. Well, why do you say you don't? Because I don't see them. I can see matter, but I don't see energy and how they get converted from one to the other. All of this kind of thing, it doesn't make any sense to me. This is nonsense, because just because you don't understand it doesn't mean that it's not there. You have to get yourself educated to a point where you can understand it. I remember Swami Dayanandji once pointed out, he says, it's very funny. He says that all the religious leaders are kind of like travel agents. He says they're travel agents because what happens is that there are, we were talking about pratyaksha and paroksha. So paroksha means that there is some kind of an island you can go to and you'll see nothing but beaches and it's not crowded and so on and so forth. And so some travel agent comes to you and he says, it'll be a lot of fun, but you have to sign up, you have to give me some commission and I'll get you there and so on. So he says that the religious leaders are somewhat like that, okay, because they will entice you. He says, have you ever seen a professor of physics from University of California? I used to give examples of Stanford University, but I said, I went to Berkeley, why don't I give examples of Berkeley? So now I give examples of Berkeley just to, in my own mind, at least I'm supporting it. Have you ever seen a physics professor from UC Berkeley knocking on the door? And you say, yes. What did you want? He says, I'm the professor of physics. I'd like to tell you about the laws of physics. Why doesn't it happen? Because there is no need to convince everybody until that person is ready. But you have seen a lot of religious people knock on the door. and leave leaflets and saying, have you considered this, have you considered that? So this is not a matter of speculation. It's a matter of eligibility. And we have to understand exactly what is going on. The Atma has to be seen as is. So what is the problem? Why am I not eligible? This is what is going to be discussed. So in a short fundamental aspect of this sadhana that we are going to go into, it says that at this point, the way we are in our lives, we are thinking in very gross levels. Gross levels means that just like a person can deal with some coins, this is 5 coins, this is 3 coins, this is like this. The subtlety of mathematics is not known to the person. Not, for example, in our own children, if we are a 2-year-old, you cannot talk about some kind of a theorem. You can just talk about, okay, supposing you had 2 marbles and you take away 1, how many are left? And even a 2-year-old will struggle with that, but maybe 3-year-old will understand it. So this is what we call subtle thinking versus gross thinking. So the net shot of that is, I can understand relationships. I can understand sukha dukkha. I can understand being upset, of friendship. All those things are understandable by me. But what I don't understand is that sukha dukkha, friendship, lack thereof, doesn't matter to me. There's something funny and something very subtle going on. I need to understand that. This is what the Shastra is saying. That you're kind of like dreaming, where you have very real relationships with people. Everything seems to be very realistic sounding, when they are in fact not. And until you can grapple with it and understand where those mistakes are made, you are not going to really overcome it. That is the vastu that you have to see exactly as it is. So therefore, a number of suggestions are given how to make your mind more subtle. How do you not just be upset with simple things in life? Ignore them. Doesn't matter. This is going to be a very big thing in the whole thing. You accept things as they are because in the final analysis it does not matter. This is what you have to understand. I think everything matters. How I feel, what my experiences are, how I react, what other people look at me like, is important. My estimation is flawed because I don't understand my own reality, that it does not matter. This is what has to be understood in these things. And we'll go over some of the examples, some of the suggestions. So in this section, which we are going to take up next, it's going to talk about the importance of eligibility. How do I need to make my mind better so I can understand the Atma as is rather than what it appears to be? This is what it is all about. Okay? So with that, let me see. Let me understand one thing, whether Swamiji has given the verses together at one place or not. No, sometimes he does that at the end, so you can take all the 144 verses. So right now, there's a couple of choices. One choice is that the verses in Sanskritam are interspersed. Like, for example, I'm looking at page 53, and he starts this section that I'm talking about by saying sadhana chatushtaya, the fourfold qualifications, and this is verse number 4. Brahmadi sthavaranteshu vairagyam vishayeshu anu tatha eva kakavishthayam vairagyam tadhi nirmalam. So this is the verse. So you would have to all the verses are given, all 144, but they're all at different places, not together. Okay, and it's a big book, so there's a little bit of work involved. The other thing you could do, if you want, is to order one of the books from. I think they might even be on the internet, but I know there's a book by Ramakrishna Mission, where all the verses are together. I forget the name of the Swami who wrote that. There's not much commentary, it's really more of an English translation, but it's all at one place, and it's a small book. I have it, and I didn't bring it with me. But if you want to sort of see everything in a short version, then you can take that if you want to. But in the case of the Hindi version by Swami Akhandananda ji, because it's not that big a book, all these verses are together, relatively together, not all in the same place. So all right. So I'm going to start with, So this is the sadhana for making yourself more eligible. This is the start of that section. It's called sadhana kavarnan, the description of sadhana. This is the tick. Okay. So this starts with verse number 3. Okay. So some words are given here, and different texts, they emphasize slightly different aspects of it based on what is really. So Adi Sankara has given. So he says, Swavarna ashrama arthena tapasa haritoshanat sadhanam cha bhavet pumsam vairagyadi chatushtayam. Okay, this is what it is. So he says, so again, as I mentioned to you, I'd like to just stay at the conceptual level rather than going into each word and so on. So conceptually what he's saying is this. There is a word here called haritoshanat. Haritoshanat means by pleasing Ishvara. By pleasing Ishvara is called haritoshanat. Okay, so this is one of the sadhanas. But let me tell you what conceptually he's saying, which is underlying all of the verses in this book. So he's saying is that each one of us is at a certain station in life based on our past. We know that. And so we now have a choice. Either we don't like where we are and we want to make a change, or several possibilities. So we don't like where we are and we want to make a change. Another one is we don't like where we are at, but I need some help to see whether I should change. I'm not sure that I should change. Third possibility is I'm okay the way I am, I don't need to do anything. So what it is said is here, conceptually, you need to divide your life into two parts. Okay? One is, whatever your stage in life is, you fulfill that stage well. Do not keep on criticizing where you are at one time, because you and Ishvara jointly decided this is where you should be. And now you say, I don't like it. Okay, so you don't like it, what are we doing about it? So you cannot blame Ishvara, because you were also party to it. You chose, in fact, it is what happens. We choose our mom and dad. We don't know that, but this is exactly what happens. When you are born, you have made a choice, this is where I want to be born, from your previous life. And so you made a choice. And wherever you are, either you are accomplished as a person, not accomplished as a person, whatever it is, this is where it is. So this is what is called prarabdha karma. So the prarabdha karma means that it has already begun. Okay? And you can rail against it and say, I don't like my prarabdha karma, but that's the things there are. That's the way it is. Okay? The second thing is, so prarabdha karma is one. The second one is, what can I do to change it if I don't like it? So there the concept is that first you accept your prarabdha karma, and the prarabdha karma has two axes, varna and ashrama. So varna means where you were born as a as a skilled person, or as a wise person, or as a strong person, whatever it is, all the four varnas. And the ashrama. Ashrama is, are you studying? Are you a householder? Are you a vanaprastha? Are you a sannyasi? Those are the four ashramas. And those four ashramas are very simple to understand. The first ashrama is, you are a brahmachari. That means you're only studying, I remember Swami Dayanandaji giving this example. He said that I do not endorse young people from working. Like, you are going to school and you are distributing newspapers and getting money. He says, should not be done. Your job should be to study, and just get better. That's all, in the first stage of the life. Then the second stage of the life, which is the householder's life, is where you gain money, you provide a house, a home for the whole family, and you try to eliminate raga dvesha as much as possible through karma yoga. So the karma yoga meaning that you do karma as a way of improving your mind, exactly eligibility, not really accumulating money for the money's sake, but seeing that I have certain duties and I have to perform those, and I should really do a good job of that. And let the future take care of itself. It will do it. So this is the this is the second one, second stage. Then comes vanaprastha. Vanaprastha means that one of the basic problems in our life now need to be addressed. The basic problem in our life is me and mine. Aham buddhi and mama buddhi. In fact, as you know very well, just digressing it for a minute, this is the basic instruction in the Bhagavad Gita that Sri Krishna gave to Arjuna. because all of his grief, all of his shoka was based on the fact that he could see, oh my God, these are my uncles. This is my teacher who I studied with. What am I doing? And I'm trying to kill them. These are my own people. I cannot do this. So this mama buddhi and aham buddhi was the one that was instructing him. He had a job to do. There was a lot of problems created by the Kauravas. They were adharma. And he was a follower of dharma. Everybody was waiting for him to vanquish the enemies. And he was the right person to do so. All of a sudden, he had mama buddhi and aham buddhi. And Krishna, of course, saw that. He was obviously, he could pinpoint where the problem is. We kept on telling him that, listen, this is the issue. You are favoring your own people. This is what we do in our lives. We are supporting you have to support your children to a large degree, no doubt about it. But to say this is my thing. So recently, about 3 weeks ago, my younger son and his wife gifted us with a baby boy. And so we have 4 grandchildren, and the first 3 were girls. And so the 4th one is a boy. And I'm happy about that because it's a change, they've got one of each and so on. That's it. There was nothing else to it. I got some congratulatory letters from friends and saying, my God, you must be so happy that the Kapoor family now becomes a legacy, and so on. So I wrote to him, and he's also, he knows the Shastra a little bit. So I wrote to him saying, listen, every child is Bhagwan's creation, not mine, not my boys. And Bhagwan's legacy never dies. So I don't know what the big issue is. I'm very happy that he was a healthy person. That's all the important thing. But whether it's a legacy of the Kapoor family or not, or this, that, or the other, it really doesn't matter to me. At least shouldn't matter to me. The only good thing about it was the name that they gave to the child was wonderful. He called him Arjuna. So I'm so happy that they proposed it, and my wife and both said, yes, go for it. So anyway, so the basic issue in our life that we have to see, so this is where the eligibility we have to slowly graduate to, is this distinction that this is mine has to diminish slowly. And in the Vanaprastha, going back to what I finished my ashrama stage, in the Vanaprastha, you may not be able to do it in the Grihastha ashrama, right? Because you have certain responsibilities. They're born, even though they are children, Ishvara's children, but they are given to you for protection and so on. So you have to do a good job. You cannot say, everybody is the same, I don't care, my children. No. At the Grihastha stage, the mind, etc. is very important. At the Vanaprastha stage, you should talk about friendship more than mine. You should view the kids also as friends, spouses also as friends. Friends are good, but this thinking this is my thing should diminish. And you have an opportunity in Vanaprastha to practice doing it. It's all part of the sadhana, all the part of this thing. So this is where it's very interesting. Here, Adi Sankara says, he says, Swavarna ashrama dharmena. So you have to follow, And just to finish it off, the sannyasa, of course, is where you have now skilled as a vanaprastha. And those feelings of mine and yours and so on are not as sharp. They're not needed anymore. You begin to look at the world as a wonderful creation. And then in sannyasa you complete it. You don't really need, now everything is just doing all their jobs. You are on your own, and now you completely get absorbed in the understanding of the Atma. So that's the ashrama system. So that's what he says, Swavarna ashrama dharmena. Then he also says tapasa. So tapasa, of course, is important. Tapas means that it won't be easy. Don't think that, I have now conquered it, I don't have my and yours and so on. Those feelings will persist. Don't make them as a centerpiece of your life. The centerpiece should be everything is okay. I'm all right. Let things happen as we will see. This is what I'm just giving you the introduction to it. And then the last one is Haritoshanat. So Haritoshanat is a very important and a very beautiful thing. None of this is possible unless you fortify your understanding of Ishvara. You cannot, right now, we feeling is my friends are important, my spouse is important, children are important, everything is important. But Ishvara, I don't know. I don't know what role does Ishvara play in my life. You forget about importance. Even the presence of Ishvara is really not there. What a huge mistake this is. Huge mistake. We're going to talk about hugeness of the mistake very shortly. But this is stupidity. This is a very important section where I'll talk about stupidity. It is not, I think it'll be nice to, it's not nice to do that. To ignore the presence of the main person who made us what we are is idiotic behavior. So the Haritoshanat means, at the very minimum, what you should do is to recognize Ishvara, and by following the method of Varna, Ashrama and Tapasa, please him. And so if you don't do that, you are not going to get your eligibility to the level that we want it to be, that you want it to be, not we, but you yourself want to be. So this is the central theme, the central concept behind all these. So this is given in verse number 3. Then, number 4 accentuates this. So this is where Swami Viditatmananda, I just saw that he begins this verse of sadhana. I already talked about this, but let me repeat it. Verse number 4 says, Brahmadi sthavaranteshu vairagyam vishayeshu anu yatha eva kakavishthayam vairagyam tadhi nirmalam. So here's the concept on this is again I'm just giving you the individual points to string together and we will at the end of this, we will clarify the basic elements that you must string together. So here is one important basic thing that we should know. The path to freedom is not to focus on what you see, but to focus on what makes you see. It is not, we are so involved in seeing things in our life. We're so immersed, so full of attention towards things in our life that we see, that we fail to understand the thing that makes us see it. The light that allows us to see things. Here I would say, I think one very excellent example given by Swami Paramarthananda was this concept of electricity and appliances. Great example. Great example, really, a great modern example. So what happens is that the appliances are important. If you want to do something, to heat, to cool, fan, whatever it is, are important. But what drives the appliances is the electricity. Now one can say that in the normal science of our life, both are important, because it was interesting that a lot of you were electrical engineers. So the understanding of electricity, how to generate it, how to propagate it, and so on is important. And so is the appliances. And so the mechanical aspects of making a fan, the armature, and all those, both things are important. But in terms of our life, it is totally different. The electricity that is the Atma is something so unique, so beautiful, that we must study what it is all about. That is what you are. And so instead of focusing on things in your life, you should be focusing much more on what generates the experiences. Because ultimately speaking, this is exactly what it is all about. This is where Ishvara has given, we've been saying this to my students for so long, and I think Swami Akhandananda had pointed out one place, which was really a remarkable thing. I really admired him for saying that. He said, look, how much time do you spend in analyzing your waking life? All the time. We are worried about it, we are worried about our well-being, and this, that, or the other. What about dreams? Oh, dreams, it's not that important. Not that important because, it doesn't really have any meaning in my life. Oh yeah, I get some bad dreams once in a while, and so there is nothing much to do about dreams. Really what I should focus on is how to make money, how to improve my health, all those kinds of things. Swami Akhandananda says, can I tell you something? If you want freedom, you spend more time analyzing the dream than your waking life. What? How is that possible? This is a Mahatma talking after the experience of he's a Jivan Mukta, not an ordinary person. And he has seen a lot of Jivan Muktas. He has experienced the friendship of them, learning from them. So it is not an ordinary thing. He said, the analysis of dream is much more important than the analysis of waking state. Why is that? Ishvara is a very funny character. I'm telling you. Sometimes I have a granddaughter, I call her Badmash Ladki. So my daughter-in-law, she's from Andhra, she's a Telugu speaking. We are Punjabis, but they got married. So she thinks this word Badmash is not a very good one. Because she must have heard it from someplace, I think. So my son also said, Dad, is this the right word? So I said, it is. Because she is such a clever little girl that the way she, behaves and so on, it gives me a lot of fun in life. Ishvara is exactly like that. He's a Badmash Admi. Absolute Badmash Admi. One of the things he has done is to create dream in our life. I'm telling you, if you want to do well in Vedanta, study the analysis of dreams. Because, you know why? I can give you a short answer to that. Because the dream will tell you that what you see is not important, how you see it is important. Because what you saw in dreams went and came and went, had no effect on you whatsoever, other than just, telling stories. Oh, I had a bad dream last night, let me tell you. That's it, just for 10 minutes or 5 minutes. No other effect. Should we not really marvel at that? And don't say that, the dream is not real, the waking state is real. No, the two are equal. When you are in a dream, your waking state is unreal. And where you're in waking state, the dream is unreal. Both are exclusive to each other. You cannot say that. Yes, there are some lingering relationships in waking state that are not there in the dream. But those are very minor things. That's not that important, as we will discuss it someday. This, by the way, is the subject of the Mandukya Upanishad and the Karika. And for that reason, I just love it. I think some of the students may have already taken a class with me on, I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, when we took Manduka and Karika. But then I found out Swami Akhandananda ji's 4 volumes, that they're this thick. And I think I've already gotten them for the Hindi speaking people. What an analysis of the dream. And all that is in this concept that we are going to talk about. So now let me close the book. I'm going into a lot of detail that will come later anyway. So just look at the verse number 4. Verse number 4 says, And I think, in this Swami Vidit, Hindi's book is on page 23, and in the Swami Viditananda's book, what was it? I think I forget. 53. Here's the verse. It says, Brahmadi sthavaranteshu vairagyam vishayeshu anu yatha eva kaka vishtayam vairagyam tadhi nirmalam. Basically, he says that wisdom comes if you want to be wise, if you want to be eligible, if you want to be honest with yourself. This whole advanced book is honesty. Do you really want to do this? Or you just want to take a couple of texts and say, you know what, I went to the ashram and it was very nice. We had a good talk and so on and so forth. Okay, what else? Well, next time let's see if some other Swami will come, this, that or the other. This is not being serious. If you want to be serious, you have to really get to what is it that I need to do. Time is passing. I'm telling you, you can't believe how quickly our life just goes. And we don't know what next time will be. This is a great opportunity. I must make all attempts to free myself from the problem. If you want to do that, here's what you need to do. He says, Brahmadi sthavaranteshu vairagyam. What it means is, do not focus on things that you see. All the way from Brahma. Brahmaji, maybe I can go to Swargaloka and I can do all these yajnas and do this, that or the other. And sthavaranteshu means the people that I see. Never, doesn't make any difference. The whole shebang, to do a vairagyam towards it. So vairagyam here means, you have to function. That's what we saw in the prarabdha karma. It's not as though you just say, okay, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to study and so on and so forth. This is what Arjuna tried to do. We just finished doing that in the second verse, where Arjuna says, I think what you're talking about just makes a lot of sense. And this war, etc., this doesn't interest me anymore. You're right. You've already explained it to me. Okay, that I shouldn't. And so I just want to go and relax and just meditate. That's what I want to do. Krishna says, not so fast, my dear. This is not going to work. So what do you mean it's not going to work? Why not? What's the problem with it? And so I think Swami Dayananji, I remember this example given very beautifully. I still remember this. He says, okay, you want me to tell you what will happen to you? Arjuna says, yes, tell me. He says, okay, you're going to go to Rishikesh and you're going to make a small hut and you sit there. And for the first few days you'll say, oh my God, what a fool I was back in the Kurukshetra and fighting and killing people and this, that or the other. This is so peaceful. This is so wonderful. You'll congratulate yourself for a few days. Then about 2 weeks later, you'll ask somebody. In fact, he gave the example. He says you will buy Times of India and see how is that war going, by the way. Oh, no, I need to meditate. But on the other hand, you open your eyes and say, but I really want to know, are they missing me? What's happening? After a month, your meditation will just finish and you'll say, what did I do? I should have been there. This is what's going to happen to you. This is not going to work. So what you need to do is to continue with what you're doing, but at the same time, turn your attention towards what is the truth behind it. Study, and this is why, just to close the topic, that what the study of dreams will do is to see, my God, all these experiences that I'm having in my life, they don't amount to anything. Should I not worry about things that don't come and go, and they are there? If you are wise, yes, that's what you should do. So this is the conceptual idea about the eligibility of the sadhana, and it's already 12 o'clock, so I will I'll close that section. There's some more to be done, but I think what I would like to continue doing, instead of just going through the verses and so on and so forth, as I was mentioning last night, just focus on the basic concepts so that you can relate to it. At least that's the way I feel. And we may not be able to go to all the... I have a kind of a lesson plan. I think I'll finish most of it. But if I don't, then please forgive me. So with that, close the class. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamad Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Yeah. I should finish my classes 10 minutes early so you can ask questions, but I won't get enough time, so I thought we'll do that in the satsang. I think I may have told you that Swami Vijay Akhandananda will be here on Thursday and Friday, so we'll have satsang with him here. Who? Sorry? I don't know what his schedule is. He was talking at some other places.
He said he might be here this week.
This week?
Yeah, he had said at that time, I don't know.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. I can find out. That'd be nice if he can come, yeah? Good. So there's Arati in 10 minutes, so we can stay for that and then go to lunch. This book will keep you, Swamiji's book will keep you busy for quite some time. Yeah, I didn't realize that was that detailed. So he spent a lot of time on it, so wonderful.
Did you teach this text here? Or?
I don't know, I don't think so. Well, I am not sure. They must have taught it somewhere. But it just seems like even more than a transcription of his talks. Possibly if...
First page he said translation and commentary.
Well, that one I know. But this was, whether it was a transcription of his talks, he doesn't say that.
But if you say that Swami Akhandananda has 4 volumes on this, that this is just one volume.
No, Swami Akhandananda ji does not have 4 volumes on this. That's this. This is it.
That's all the Mandukya is.
The Mandukya. Mandukya is 4 volumes. Each one of them is this thick. Here it is.
Mithya exists. All these ashrams and books and Charyas, gurus,
Swami Akhandananda wrote a book which I think I got 2 copies and I don't remember who I gave it to. Maybe Sudha. It's called Vedanta in Ramayana. And Sudha, did you get that book? It's called Ramayana. Adhyatma Ramayana. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All interrelated. Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is all.
One question I had was, you wished at one point all the Pandavas later came from the Parikshit. They just walked away, right?
Yeah.
They just took sannyas, they just wanted to
Right.
run. I mean, how do you do that? We are all sort of advanced at the stage. How do you lead a household of life?
I would imagine that's the strength of their thinking and their commitment to, they were so passionate about it, they said, take care of it, we're gone.
Yeah, and once Krishna dies,
Yeah.
they just leave.
I was thinking one possibility is to start this class at 11:15 and to go up to 12:15. This way we don't have to sit here and wait for the arati. And it gives you a little bit more time between, the ending of the last class. And, so maybe I'll do that. In fact, when Siddhartha-ji and I was discussing it, that was one of the options. But I didn't realize this, that the arati will not start until 12:15. So I think we'll do that.
Here in the first paragraph, in Swamiji's preface, he said this is the book for getting liberation or a moksha. So he said that there are many books, but this is one of the books which will help you.
Yeah, so this
know
is
why so this is.
so this is what is called. It has some names to it. It's called Siddhi Grantha. So the Siddhi Granthas are the books that are much more focused on the final Siddhi. That's what I call the advanced book. So yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
You also call it the Prakarana.
Prakarana, of course, is always true because Prakarana means that it is not everything. It is a given, like for example, Brihadaranyaka, Chandogya. So they cover lots of different things, about heaven, about all aspects of it, very broad. And similarly in Taittiriya Upanishad and so on, the Prakarana is not, it promises not to cover everything, but whatever it covers, it does a good job with. That's what it is. So there are different Prakarana, Sadhana Panchakam, Triptitsha Viveka, all those have a particular focus on it. So this is a Prakarana Grantha in that way. Sorry.
So here it says Arati is from 12 to 12:15. It's not here somewhere else.
It's here in the system.
No, it's always here, but I didn't. Yeah, I don't remember which 12:15 or so. We'll find out from
It is at 12:15.
12:15.
The Arati.
So is it okay if we change it, the timing tomorrow, or is that going to cause a problem for the online people, or what do we need to do?
I
I have his email, so I can do it. But let me talk to Shuddhatma, and then we'll make that decision. I think that will be better. Okay. So somehow I was just looking around in the room. My memory went to the last class that Puja Swamiji had in this one. That was the last class. He had individual session because he was not well, and so.
What year was that?
I would imagine 14. A year before he took Mahasamadhi. And I remember that talk and lecture so well. I was sitting in one of those chairs, and this room was packed. I was sitting like this. Huh?
Always packed.
Always packed, but on that class, because his health had started to fail, so he wouldn't come here as often. He would not have these week-long, 2 week. So people were anxious to see him. I flew all the way from California to see him for that. But I remember that class. There was not a sitting. It must have been like 200, 300 people here. I don't know. And I remember his talk so well. And he was a little cross with us. And he was saying, I don't understand why you are upset at small things. Because, he was, one of the things he would do is he would have interviews with people, private interviews in his place, where people will go and see him and say, oh, Swamiji, and my wife are not getting along, whatever, I don't know, something, whatever people will say. And so he must have been somewhat frustrated that after all this teaching, and so I remember that he gave certain examples. But one example that he gave was very interesting. Let me try to recall it. There was a person. I don't have all the details of it. Let's see. Oh yeah, now it come back to me. He gave this example of a woman, and it might have been a real life, I don't know, but he didn't present it that way. He said there was a woman who approached a Swami. He said, Swamiji, my husband doesn't like my cooking. And he's always being upset with my cooking. I don't know what to do. It's just it's just souring our relationships. Every time I do the best I can, and he says, no, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, and so on. So he said, okay, let me talk to him. So Swamiji said that I approached this gentleman and asked him, how's life? What kind of things did you really like? So he says, sir, I like classical music a lot. So he says, okay, that's a good idea. I'd love to hear you sing sometimes. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I'll end up in two more minutes. I'll finish in two more. So he says that I got him involved in singing. Turns out he was a very good singer, classical singer. And he was never really appreciated by people. So I encouraged him to do that. And pretty soon he became very involved with the singing. And his wife said, I don't know what you have done. He doesn't criticize me anymore. Because Swamiji said, I know what he was frustrated because nobody was appreciating him. And so he was picking on you. This is what life is all about. You create your own priorities and stop picking on small things to